William Farquhar Jr. I was born and lived in Appleton, 1922. I entered the service in October of 42 and was discharged in January 46. I was in the 9th Armored Division. I graduated from high school, but it was during the war coming up, and I was just gung-ho to go. And I wanted to join the Navy, but like I said, my eyesight, I couldn't pass that. And so we had to go to Oshkosh, had a recruiter down there. So a buddy of mine went with me, and he could pass his eyesight, but I couldn't. So he said, well, I'm not going unless you go. So right next door was the Army Air Force. I said, I'm going to join that. So determined to go someplace, so we went in and said it was a 3-year enlistment. We only had 3 days before we had to leave. And I had to get our parents, to sign for us. We weren't of age. And so we wound up going into the Army. Well, I kept looking for a plane because I said Army Air Force. I never got near one. Just they were activating the division I was in and needed a lot of guys, a lot of young guys. So we were on a troop train going from Sheridan to Kansas. And I don't know, I didn't know what his rank was at that time, a colonel or a major, but got a pair of boots on. And Jesus, I never saw a guy like that, Harry was in the cavalry. And he said, you've been hand-picked. Some guy member on the troop train said, I don't even know how to ride a horse. It's what we want you dumb, we'll train you our way. But it was just, we weren't there for 3 weeks. All we did was clean the darn stables. And I'm telling this buddy of mine, we got separated right away. And I'm telling him, I said, boy, you should see where I got. And he wrote back. And well, then I had gotten out of that and went into the Armored Division. And I said, geez, I'm in the infantry. And that's what they told us anyway. I said, so he said, don't tell me nothing about this place. He said he was right, only he was in a recon battalion, same division. So that's how we didn't get our choice. Most of the guy we didn't. Being armored, we learned every weapon, different vehicles. We didn't drive that much because we didn't get any tanks, but we went up to half track. And then they had schooling, and I wanted to get in something more exciting than driving a truck or a Jeep. So they had a demolition school, and then that's where I went to demolition school. And I took my training there, and that was my job in our platoon. I was the demolition man. That's about what I had, but we had all the basics, close order drill to come out of your ears, and in the infantry. And, but we had a lot of. We were in the States a year before we went overseas, and everybody had something they were, and we had riflemen too, but they all could do 2 or 3 jobs. I got home once, yes, after basic. I think it was 2 weeks. And I thought, well, I'll probably get home for Christmas, but that didn't happen. I got home once. So I was home about 14 days. And then shortly after that, then we went overseas. Yeah, it wasn't really the best. This friend of mine, that he and I went together, I went to see him in the recon and tell him I was going home on furlough. I hoped that he would be going the same time. And they said he was already gone. His mother had passed away. And he went home on furlough. Well, then I went right after that, and so we didn't, it was during the morning of his mother, and so we had all right, but it wasn't like it would like to have it. And then I came back, then we left, went over, so we landed in, we maneuvered twice. We maneuvered in the desert, and spent the summer out there. It was hot. They had problems, they'd have a problem that you'd have weapons and vehicles and a lot of convoy driving all over the place. And it's kind of a funny story about that. On the desert, there was tracks all over, from vehicles before us. And you'd be all night long, you'd be driving, then we had blackout, which made it worse. And they had 2 in a cab. And I said, geez, we've been here a long time. We haven't moved up in 2 hours. I got out and looked, one vehicle in front of us and the rest are gone. The guy fell asleep, didn't know when they left. Now where do we go? And there's, like I said, tracks all over. So we were starting to go about 80 miles an hour over that whole stupid desert. And one of the guys that was a convoy commander, he found us and led us back. He felt like a real, rookie. But yeah, we're sitting there in the middle of nothing. Everybody fell asleep. Yeah, I did some landscaping, and we had a pet rat, a kangaroo rat. He had that long tail. It didn't bother anybody, but he was during the day, we had water bags, for drinking, and it would drip, and he'd lay right underneath that drip, nice and cool. But at night, and he'd get active. Oh, he'd be all over in the wastebasket and trying to get some sleep. And finally, one night, he got real brave, and with 5 guys, and he went from one to the other, jumping on your chest, that's enough for me. This guy's gone. So the next day he was gone. We took care of him. Then we went to Louisiana, and that was the worst place I could ever been. Combat wasn't that bad. Mud up to your neck, and it rained while we were in there in the wintertime. And we slept in pup tents all the time. We were supposed to have gotten in the barracks in Camp Oak, and it never materialized. We were out in the field for 3 months. We were there, I think, about 5-6 months, and then we shipped out. Kilmer, New Jersey, and we went on to Queen Mary, first class. We had a stateroom for 2 people, and it was 16 guys in there. And they had them bunks, you fold them up, and you had a little room, but when they folded them down, there was no room. Only thing we were fortunate with was there was about, I think, 10,000 guys on this ship, and our battalion had to pull KP for all this. And our company, they kept in reserve. So we went right up to the very top sun deck, and we stayed there all day. We'd sleep up there all day long. They didn't need us, I guess, because nobody got seasick on the Queen Mary. So we had a nice trip over. It was 5 days. And then we landed in Scotland. And then, of course, some guys knew I was Scottish, and they were telling these ladies that were, they'd serve you coffee or tea or something, that this guy's from Scotland, or his parents are. Oh, and I thought that was wonderful, and they were very nice to us too. We left, got off the ship, we got on a regular troop train, and we went south to, we were in Southampton, near there. We were in Southampton for, I don't know, maybe a month. No, I don't think that long. You weren't supposed to say anything, but nothing technical about, don't name a ship or where you're going or when you're going, none of that. I did get a chance with the situation, no furloughs, no leaves, no nothing. And my company commander knew that I had a grandmother there. So I even asked, do you think I could get a pass? Well, it's 8 hours up, 8 hours back. I just wanted to go, So he arranged it that I could get away, but he said, if you miss that boat, that's your problem, not mine. But I didn't miss it. And I went up in 8 hours, visited my grandmother, and I had aunts and uncles there. But all my cousins were in the service, during the war. It was shortly after that she passed away. So, and my grandfathers were gone already. Yeah. But I did get to see relatives, because we don't have any relatives here in this country at all. Well, we were from Southampton. We took one of them LSDs, a big one, and we'd never been on anything like that. But the weather was good, and we landed at. Trying to think of where we landed. But the first thing that impressed me over there when I see that was all the debris there from the landing. I thought, holy geez, no bodies. Of course, they were all picked up, but they had these tank trap things, big iron oven, and just all blown, everything blown up, and holy smokes. I didn't think it could be that bad, but after we were in the hedgerows at that time then, and we had one guy in our office. He didn't like the service to start with. He was from New York. And all of a sudden the artillery started coming in. So we all dove in the ditch. The reason I remember that so well, it was water in that ditch like that. And geez, I didn't want to get my pants all dirty, you know. A little while later, I'm digging right straight through that mud. And this guy come walking down, and it was a dirt road. Shells were coming all over. No gun, no helmet, no nothing. His name was Moskowitz. And he kept hollering, "Get down before you get your damn head blown off." He said, "This is too tough for me. I'm going back." He left. I don't know. I never did see him again. So that's the way to go, I guess. Just say, "I'm going." It was just like a wall, you know. Germans would be on one side. You didn't know it. They were so thick. All of a sudden, it'd be a hand grenade come over the top. You know, so you'd all dive away, and the hand grenade would go off, so we'd throw some back over there. But you never saw any Germans. You never really saw them. They're there, you know they're there. And that went on for miles and miles. It was heavy. Even having the heavy equipment come up there, like the tank, they couldn't even get through the tank. They could hit that and it stopped. No, we had half-track, armored half-track. Then they would stay. Driver would stay with it, and then you'd go on. Oh, geez, I guess, you know, I never really see any. You know they're there, and I don't know if they could hear it. I could hear them sometimes. But I said, boy, you've got to be that cool. Well, I'd say from here to that wall, it'd be that heavy, thick, you know. Yeah, we get small arms fire, or they'd have a machine gun set up someplace where they could see, and we'd get that. We had our whole company, you know, and they maybe it was 3-4 guys, German. So after a while, you just took them out of there. And then we took a few prisoners, not many. I really respected them because they were trained, well trained, and their equipment was great. They had them burp guns, they called them, drip, you know, that'd be 10 rounds right there. And they just were military. They knew what it was. And there was no arguing, you know, not that I could see or never heard. They were trained, and that sergeant said that's what they did, nothing else. It seemed it was little towns, little villages, and you'd get a lot of fire sometimes, you know. They were in there, and they weren't going to give up that darn easy. But there'd be some combat days maybe, but then all of a sudden it'd move. They would serve maybe they'd have a lot of casualties. We would have them. But you just gradually grind your way through, you know, and all of a sudden the town was yours, the little town. And then you keep getting that half track and go to the next one. It's great. You know, they were so pleased, so happy, and they were really suppressed for those years with the Germans. And there was some sympathizers, I know there was, because you'd run onto one once in a while. But on a whole, they just appreciated everything. Whatever they had, they'd give you if you wanted to. You know, but we treated them pretty good too. You know, we'd have C rations, or I don't know if it was good to give them C rations or K rations, but they took them. Oh yeah, we had them little D bars. You know, they give them all away. You know, one guy says, "You know, them little guys, they can speak French. The little kids, you know, they were in France. I guess they would." The thing was, what I saw, we had sometimes they'd have a mess tent set up. You know, when they maybe pull you back to maybe 500-600 guys, and they set up a kitchen, and then they had these garbage cans. You know, hot water, and rinsing, and garbage. And little kids would have like a number 10 can. They'd punch a lot of holes on the bottom, and they'd scoop that in as garbage and drain it, you know, to get the food on it. Cigarette butts, the whole thing. They'd sort it all out and haul it home, you know, or wherever they hauled it to. But God, over here they have so much, and these kids are really hungry. I never thought too much. I thought, well, I hope it's not going to be me, and the guys that you did get hit, you knew them real well. We were together for over a year, and I don't know what it was, but it was a lot of camaraderie, and we didn't have anybody replaced for a long time, but we had 12 guys in the squad, and eventually maybe get down to 8 or 7, and then one day here's a bunch of replacements. Didn't know them from a bale of hay. I felt sorry for them. Nobody even looked at them. But they adjusted after a while too. They become just like you. But we didn't get too many replacements at one time. But like you said, maybe 1 or 2 guys would go. And we had one incident that was kind of comical. This guy's name was Gentry, and he spoke sort of slow. You know? but really sharp when it came to rifle inspection, you know. When you hold that rifle there, you're not supposed to pull it away from you, you're supposed to let it go. And guys, he let that rifle go. He had more courage than I would never do that. They'd catch it way down here. Inspecting officer, hand it back to him, never looked at it. I think all them officers had him spotted, you know, but he'd never bat an eye. All of a sudden, you know, that rifle would be down there. But he got all shot to hell, and I said, geez, well, that's the end, and you won't see him anymore. A week later, he came back. A week later. And I said, that's impossible. It was his twin brother.